For those who don't know and have been living under a rock for a while, ever since Russia invaded Ukraine in the Crimea region, Donbass, all that stuff, people have taken to saying Slava Ukraini as a way to show support for the Ukrainian resistance in that region. And it became this thing that people say without really, processing what they're doing. It's like reflexive. It's like the people who've still got the Ukraine flag in their Twitter bios, right? And look, I'm not going to lie. I covered it. I actually got out of bed at like 4 a.m. or whatever it was when it happened and covered it. I was genuinely shocked. Because Hassan told me it wasn't going to happen. And, if anyone would know. So anyway, I covered it. And I won't lie, my views on it have sort of moved a little bit after 2 years of conflict. And I have sort of become a bit worn down with this, with the way Americans talk about it in particular, how, it's the front line of defense for Europe and America and Putin's going to invade everybody and blah, blah, blah. I've had Ukrainian people sending me hate mail online saying I should be grateful because without Ukrainian people, I'd be dead. And I'm thinking, well, sorry, I don't believe that. But anyway, I won't bore you with kind of where I'm at now because it's not really relevant to the video. The point being, people still want to show support to Ukraine, obviously. And people are also reflexively very anti-Russian at the moment. I've been pretty consistent on this topic. I've done a number of videos on it. I just don't think it's fair to hold people accountable for the actions of their governments because you don't know if they support those actions. Very often they don't. You don't know if they even voted for the government that's implementing the things that you're against. And speaking as a Westerner, speaking as a British person, speaking as someone whose country invaded Iraq and Afghanistan illegally and published a false dossier to get public support for the war, then harassed and harangued a journalist to reveal the source of his reporting, which said the dossier was fake, and then that doctor got outed, had his life ruined, and turned up mysteriously dead from a suicide that 120 coroners signed a letter saying it didn't have the hallmarks of a suicide. Look, I marched against all of that. I fucking planted my flag pretty firmly on the let's not invade another country in the Middle East based on lies just because America wants to get some fucking oil and sort of placate its populace in the aftermath of 9/11. And so, but our government, our parliament did it anyway. So I guess I shouldn't be allowed to work any esports events or attend events because, my government did something terrible. My government did something that Kofi Annan, then the chairman of the UN, said was illegal, said was a war crime. And so I guess I can't go anywhere, right? Isn't that the rule? No, we make exceptions. Okay. So I've been pretty consistent on that. And I know, obviously, there's plenty of Russians that do support Putin. I get it. But if you can't discern, you shouldn't penalize people. It's also very hard when you live in a despotic regime to speak out, because as we'll even get to that in this video, there are laws against speaking out. You go to prison for it. It's not like over here where you can have a fucking protest in like America or, in Britain, and you can call out your leaders and you don't go to prison over that. I mean, Britain, we're on the edge. But in America, for example, I'm watching these ridiculous riots in like Columbia University, and the only thing that both the Hamas supporters, I should say, and the Israeli supporters, the only thing they have in common is chanting "fuck Joe Biden," and no one's getting arrested for that, and no one's going to prison for it. So I think it's an outrageous pressure to put on Russian people to speak out. I think you have to give them the benefit of the doubt. That's just me. I think that's just fair and right. And you can't have your cake and eat it and say esports is this wonderful place where we can all come together and forget our troubles, like Cheers, like the song from Cheers, making your way in the world today takes everything you got. It's like, We're all meant to play esports and forget about politics, and then you go, oh, but actually, yeah, fuck these people, actually. Like, nah. I can't do that. It's like you can't have your cake and eat it. So, for me, I think I don't want any of that shit to like bleed in. If it does, then we have to keep that energy and we have to do it to everyone. It's one or the other. You can't just say, well, okay, Russians are bad, Americans fine. And this event is brought to you by the US Air Force, So that's where I'm at. Now you know. And Finnish people won't agree with it. Jace, head moderator, doesn't agree with it. Hates my opinion on it. But it just is where I'm at mentally, and I think it's like logically consistent. And I'm not Finnish, so I'm not programmed to fucking despise Russians, am I? So anyway, I'll also add that esports went through a fucking strange time as we sort of scrambled to issue sanctions against orgs that we sort of felt we had to, and then we did some and not the others, and the whole thing's a mess. So just to give you an example, I'll list 4. Virtus Pro, who as of, I think it was September 2022, I could be wrong, were 4, even though they'd sold to an Armenian, they were still being forced to pretend that they were an org called Outsiders, which doesn't exist, even though they're based in Armenia. Gambit just got told, nah, you just can't have a team. If you want to compete, you're going to have to like wear a white t-shirt or something. We don't even know. And they were just like, but we barely have any sponsors anyway. This would be really bad for us. So they sold their team for 3 million. Team Spirit have moved to Serbia, but don't disclose their ownership. They've never publicly said who funds them. They're fine. They're definitely Russian org. And they're definitely funded by someone that they deliberately obfuscate and never admit to. But they're fine. No sanctions for them. And, and Forza. Forza, a Russian org, literally sponsored by Lukoil, whose executives that had ties to the Kremlin keep mysteriously like falling out of buildings, falling downstairs. One of them decided, I'm just going to drink some delicious, this is true by the way, I'm going to drink some delicious frog poison to detox this hangover I've got, and died. Okay. Well, not only are Forza fine to compete, but Forza are also allowed to wear Lukoil logos. So I don't know what the fuck we were doing this entire time. I do not understand it. And no one's ever been able to explain it. And you got people like Carmack like coming out. But remember when? Because Virtus Pro won the Rio Major, and then they had, but it was Outsiders, but it was Virtus Pro, but they had to be called Outsiders. And they fucking got the trophy sent to an address in Armenia. And then they put a video up going, we got the trophy from winning Rio. And Carmack said, oh, that's an unwelcome surprise. We thought it was Outsiders. What? We all know Outsiders wasn't real. What are you talking about? What, this new org sprung up overnight and just happened to have Virtus Pro's team and staff? What are you talking about? I mean, I would ask you a question. If you think that Outsiders really won the major and Virtus Pro therefore shouldn't accept the trophy or talk about it, and it's a surprise to you, do you think Richard Bachman wrote those books because Stephen King used a pen name? I mean, you must think Richard Bachman, a fictitious invention, is actually real and must take credit for the books. And actually, Stephen King better burn that money he got from the Bachman books, like The Running Man and all that. If you use a pen name, you can't. It's just nonsense. So anyway, the whole time was fucking stupid. And all of this is just a preamble to pad out the video to the sweet 40-minute mark on YouTube, which all my fans love. Forza are just out there, right? But in the most recent tournament at EPL, they've had to use a stand-in. And this is this thing that just keeps happening. Okay, whenever there are Russians and Ukrainians at the same tournament, you can just bet, the cosmic fortune, they're going to play every single time. They are just going to meet each other every single time. And yeah, exactly. Or Bad News Eagles. Hey, got to play this Serbian team. This will be fine. Wasn't there a situation or something with it? It's gonna happen every time. And I'm gonna get to a suggestion about this, which people might not come aboard for, but I think it would be a good idea. But anyway, so Forza obviously ended up playing Monte. And at the moment, Forza are using a stand-in. And who do you think it is? Well, I'm going to show you, so you don't have to worry. It is, of course, the artist formerly known as the Rat King. I don't call him that anymore. Yeah, boy. And there he is. And by the way, he's been playing pretty well. And Forza, been winning some games. They absolutely bodied that dog shit Furia lineup. I think they're in action right now at the time of recording this. And it's your boy Smooya, right? So, I love that Smooya gets an opportunity to be a stand-in. Low-key, all of the preamble aside, I think Forza have some good players. You know, it's the Nickelback, Forrester guys. And he's been standing in. And I always think it's a shame the way his career went. He is to blame for some of it. But anyway, he went into this political... he went into this political cauldron, right? Forza playing Monte. And by the way, I don't know if you've noticed, Monte are pretty outrageous on social media. They're really fucking bad. They've said some pretty gnarly shit to Russian players. They've had to delete some tweets. We've covered it. And I just think whoever runs their social media account just is a cunt. I'm just saying that up now. Right, I get it. Oh, it's a tough situation, you know, and you want to express pride in in your country and all this. But the shit they try to slip through with the stickers as well, like, oh God, like they just wild out all the time, and it's too much for me. And again, I'll explain why at the end. So they play this game, and as you would expect, Monte win, and at the end, there's no handshakes, right? Now, another part of this that I want to say, I am not angry that they're not shaking hands, but not for the reasons you want me to be. It's going to be a lot of political edging in this video, right? You're going to be like, oh, yeah, he is one of us. He's just like me, for real. And then I'm going to say something that you're not going to like. There's going to be lots of that, right? Yeah, exactly. Edge maxing is happening, right? So I don't mind that they don't shake hands, but it's because I know right now, if you've seen the really oppressive nonsense that Ukrainian competitors are having to deal with from their own government, it includes there's an expectation you won't play with Russian players. There's an expectation that you have to put in written permission to leave the country because you may be conscripted. And one of the expectations is that you will absolutely not shake hands or recognize Russian opponents. They are told that they can't do that. So I don't mind that they're not doing that. Because why the fuck would you want to get in trouble with your own government and cause a whole stink just because you shook hands with someone? Now I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I don't think they would have shook hands anyway. But I saw a lot of people on HLTV, not Reddit so much, but on HLTV, and the level of discourse there was brilliant. And they were going, oh, if you don't want to shake your opponent's hand, fuck you, don't play. And I was like, you probably don't know about the rules that they've had to agree to. You have to understand that the Ukrainian Sports and Esports Federation have even talked about suspending their own players from competing at events with Russian teams present. They're really on that shit. So, turn up, right, fucking hell, we've got the Russians again. Play the Russians, don't shake their hands, don't say anything, and just sit down, and that's that, right? Now, there's a problem with all of this, and that is that Owen, my lovely Owen, and I'm going to defend him on this one, guys. Owen is in the middle of this, and Owen doesn't know any of this. Owen doesn't even know why Russia invaded Ukraine or what's going on. He's just Smooya. He's just fucking He just wants to bang people's lips off in a video game, right? Because of course he does. He doesn't care about fucking geopolitics or any of that stuff, does he? And so in that sense, he's unironically the worst person they could have had, only for the situation. Every other instance, he's a really good pickup. But you have to tiptoe through this really delicate situation. And he's just not known for his delicacy, is he? He just doesn't know what's going on. And so anyway, they lose. Oh, my God. So they lose, right? The Russian team that he's standing in for, right? They lose. They lose the game. They lose the game 2-0. And Monte, on their social media account, does what they always do. You know, you tweet. I bet they were especially quick on this one because you beat a Russian team. So they went and they tweeted it. And Owen, trying to be a good sport, replied to their post. And he replied with, while representing a Russian team, he replied with, Slava Ukraini. Right. Now, by the way, this is the one time Owen's fucked up, but I think like 95% of the internet actually supports him and thinks he's based. And I'm supporting him, just not for the reasons you are. You're supporting him because you're the type of person that would just say Slava Ukraini reflexively. I'm supporting him because he doesn't fucking know what that means, really. He thinks it's just a nice thing to say to Ukrainians, right? We are not the same. Now, remember how I was telling you, right, about how the Ukrainian competitors have all these rules instilled by the government, and this is why they're having visa problems too, even though they're welcome to travel everywhere, unlike the Russians, but they're having visa problems as well, but the visa problems are stemming at their end, not the country they want to travel to. Well, the thing is, and I know this is going to surprise a lot of you, the Russian competitors have some rules as well. And those rules include that you're not supposed to express any support. Because, you see, from the Russian perspective, it's the Ukrainians that are bad. You know, Zelensky's a narco man, Azov battalion, you know, you've seen it. And so the Russian teams have rules as well. And expressing any support for the Ukrainians, it's actually an imprisonable offence, right? Now, Owen's not Russian. Owen's not only not Russian. I love you, Owen. You know that. This is a defence of you. Don't be upset. He couldn't point to Russia on a map. I'll take that bet, actually, right? And so he's just done this. And he's like, yeah, nice one, Ukrainians. Yeah, Slava Ukraini, whatever that means. You in a war or something, mate? Yeah, nice one. Yeah, great game. GG's. And he's just gone back to the hotel and thought, this is all going to be okay. Spoiler, it was not okay. Owen, Slava Smookrani Butterfield caused an international incident. And listen, I shouldn't really be laughing. The circumstance, you have to understand, guys, obviously it's a serious situation. It's the war, people die in, blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not a maniac, all right? But this situation is so absurd. It's like a comedy sketch. Like, the only person that could have fucked this up in such a ridiculously hilarious fashion was Smooya. It's just so, oh God, I couldn't write this. I'm envious of getting to watch this play out. This is the type of thing I would joke about in a green room, and it's real. So the international incident begins. So this is at 10:57. No, that's like, it's a bang on 11 o'clock, right? It's at 11 p.m. is that tweet, okay? And then the next tweet, 50 minutes later. Crazy situation. insane. All right, keep it together. Keep it together, mate. Crazy situation happening here. Update you soon. Oh, what could it be, Owen? What could the what could the crazy situation be? Could it be you were playing for a Russian team and you used the fucking phrase of resistance against Russia popularized but in Ukraine as a means to say GGWP? That would have done. No international incident if you just said GG, but you said Slava Ukraini. You did choose that, didn't you? And then he's like, nice one, lads. Nice one. Slava Ukraini, right. Back off to the hotel. I think I'll stream some Face It tonight, actually. Hello? And he's just going to be surrounded by, like, all the Forza guys. Like, what the fuck, bro? The state is watching us. What the fuck have you done? Right. So there was a crazy situation. So Monty then responded. They did the FBI meme. And then you can see here it is. I've never even seen it go. All while someone gets renditioned. Crazy situation. Anyway, it gets past midnight and everyone's favourite clout goblin, Harumi, has he got one of these right yet? I don't know. He said, he just posted, he just seized on it. Oh, let's just make something up then, right? Let's just make something up. Because that's all he does. He just invents things. He pulls things out his arse. So he comes in, Harumi off the top rope. Remember as well, right, by the way, we've seen from the timeline, he had 18 minutes to pull this story together. Like, who the fuck are you kidding? You absolute bellend. Who are you kidding at this point, mate? Just fucking give up. He pulled it together in 18 minutes, did he? Like, you got the call. Crazy situation, lads. I'll update you tomorrow. Anyway, Forza are going to remove Smooya and bring in Fierce as a stand-in. That's what he said. And Owen noticed this about 36 minutes later. And he said, who's capping on the timeline? And indeed, he hasn't been removed. He's still playing. And how's that happened? Well, how indeed, ladies and gentlemen. He wakes up the next day, and in a now deleted tweet, that once again was tweeted out by Monty, he said the following. Because I think Owen probably felt a little bit out of his depth here and was getting a bit frustrated. Because he's dropped a Slava Ukraini while representing a Russian team, and they've all collared him and gone, yo, you can't do this. You're going to fucking ruin our lives, please, bro. And people were banging on him and saying, you know, well, which side are you on, Owen? Right? And he should have logged off, but he didn't log off. And he did this tweet, and you can see this was at 1:21 p.m. This is on April 17th, 1:21 p.m. when he first joined. He said, I'll make this clear once. I'm not representing this organization. I'm not wearing their jersey. I'm attending ESL Pro League to hopefully show my ability to get scouted for a roster in the future. I don't support any of this, so please shut the fuck up. And then he wore the jersey too. So he was getting double-dicked, as I like to put it. He was getting it off the Ukrainians now, because he said this, and Monty tweeted it. He said Slava Ukraini, guys, what more do you want? And then, obviously, he wore the jersey. He did wear the Forza jersey, kissing the Lukoil badge, like, right? But he decided that I can work on this. I can definitely find a way out of it. And in a post that surely he had some help with, he said the following. Some individuals may have misinterpreted my playful response to a tweet by Monty as an aggressive gesture against Forza. I mean, there's a lot of that going around because in many ways, Russia misinterpreted some playful antics as an aggressive response against their country. It seems to be very much in keeping with the theme. By the way, those individuals, his teammates. Among others, I'm sure. Oh, fuck me, Owen. Never retire, bro. I fucking love you so much. You're so... I feel like every time you're playing for a team, it's just gold. Anyway, some individuals may have misinterpreted Slava Ukraini as an aggressive gesture against Forza. However, that was not my intention. I am a dedicated stand-in of the team, and I strike to contribute towards our success here in Malta. I've never tried to play poorly on purpose. I don't know if people accused him of that. And I have always done my best to win, and will continue to do so in future. I acknowledge that my response was in poor taste. I'm still learning the nuances and implications of certain expressions. I never intended to cause any conflict or offence. I hold great respect for Forza and their fans. I do not discriminate against people based on their nationality or skin colour. If my recent posts have inadvertently offended anyone, then I sincerely apologise. Now, you can all see the problem, right? Because 95% of people loved the Slava Ukraini, and the other 5% are, Russians, Belarusians, Kazakhstanis in some cases. But generally, most people are like, that's a pretty based Slava Ukraini. But now he's done he's obviously been made to do the worst thing he could do. And that is imply that Slava Ukraini is an offensive phrase. And it is. To Russians. So, he's dropped the apology. And therefore, and to the Russian state, I should add. And some Russians, yes. So now, he's done the thing 95% of the 95% of the internet hate. And now he's essentially apologised for upsetting everybody. You can imagine what's happened after that. Monte replied with, if you were forced to write this, blink your eyes twice. And I will say it did have a it did have a hostage kind of feel to it. But it gets better. He was forced. Nailed that one. But of course, because it's Owen, he just had to throw in just a little bit. And he said, after his masterful apology to Russians, he added, I will clarify. And I can't wait for this. I am going to apply for rights to co-stream Smooya's stream when he gets back. Right, it's going to be solid fucking gold. He said, I will clarify everything via stream when I'm home. Until then, I will focus on my showing here at EPL. Thanks to those who understand and those who don't just wait for my stream. Winky kiss face. To which someone replied, so sad that before this stream, Owen Smooya Butterfield was found dead to presumed suicide with 16 gunshots in the back. Yep, you're playing in the big leagues now, Owen. Geopolitics. Come on in. Where everyone's a fucking psycho. Oh, yeah. Slava fucking Ukraini. I just can't even believe it. Like, what I love about Owen is, when Owen fucks up, it's just so spectacular. Even when it's, like, just not even... He doesn't even intend it. Like, it's not about that. He hasn't even tried. He's not even been a bad person here. He's just so ridiculous. And breaking news, Gamer Legion have just beaten Forza. So we're going to get that stream very soon. And I'm all about it. Oh, no. 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 No, it can't be. Oh, it just never ends. Because they've lost the Gamer Legion, there's one more game. It's a rematch with your old chums. Oh my God, like Owen's life is a fucking meme. It's an actual meme. It can't be fucking real. Oh my God, no. For fuck's sake. It just can't be real. There he is. Just in the middle of it with a fucking with the UK flag. All right, lads. How about Slava? Just kidding. Not getting me twice. Fucking hell. Now, the video has been, or this part of the stream it's been a laugh a minute, right? Because it's the life of Owen, Slava, Smookrani, Butterfield. So it's always gold. It's always funny. But I will make a little bit of a serious point. So I'm going to end on a serious point, and you're going to go, boo, boo, right? You can access the ESL Pro Tour rules book for all of Counter-Strike. It obviously includes IEMs as well, and you can go and read it. But basically, they have rules in there that say that you can't have offensive names, and you can't have like names that could be considered radical or extreme or any of this type of thing. And they stop short of using the word political. But I'm just going to say, you could just you could stop a lot of this. You could stop a lot of these shenanigans if you would just say, like, no, during ESL competition, no political statements on social media. Now, yes, I'd probably make a video going, are ESL going too far? Controlling competitors? I probably would, right? You know, because that's just who I am. I'm a contrarian, so that's fine. I've made peace with it. But ultimately, I feel that this isn't going to go away. We've talked about how long this conflict's been going on for. We've talked about how we've tied ourselves up in knots trying to deal with it. It's going to happen over and over and over again. And spoiler, if somehow we were to wave a magic wand and not only was the conflict going to end between Russia and Ukraine, but also somehow everyone was going to be like, harmonious and good feeling. Spoiler, that's not happening for a long, long time. You know, imagine if we could get that. Well, it's going to be another country. There'll be another war. I mean, shit, like, we're already talking about, you know, issues with, like, Israeli competitors going to Riyadh and what that's going to look like in light of, you know, developments in Gaza. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, it might be time to just put something in the rule book. Like, look, listen, say whatever the fuck you want on your own social media in your own time. But while we're doing these events, maybe Slava nobody. You know what I mean? Let's just fucking get rid of it. As it's especially problematic when you realise that, you know, they're fucking pro players, mate. So, you know, they don't always know what they're doing. Anyway, to wrap up this part, I'll also say, I hope people aren't going to give Smooya a hard time. Spoiler, he is getting a really hard time right now. Because he's fucking getting it from the Ukrainians and the Russians. I thought the only person that could unify both Ukraine and Russia in their hatred was me. Because I called Blade a fucking clone. But, like, actually Owen didn't really do anything wrong here. Okay, that's not true. He did do it. It was wrong. It was so easy to avoid. But the sentiment was positive, and he was just trying to express support for his Ukrainian friends after losing a game. Didn't know how bad that was going to go over for all the reasons I said with Forza. And he's just trying to be an affable guy. He didn't mean to fucking do it. He wasn't doing it on purpose. It wasn't trolling. It was just, he was trying to be nice. And, you know, you need more of that. And also I'd add, even though he didn't know what the fuck he was saying when he said it, he's still showing a level of social intelligence that is like, you know, it shows he's developed, he's come a long way. Can happen to anyone. Anyone can have a fucking reflexive brain fart. You get so used to saying the same phrases that you forget about the context in which you say them. I don't know. I hope Owen's, like, he's going to get shit from the Ukrainians and the Russians probably for the rest of his life. Okay. But if you're not Russian or Ukrainian, and you were thinking about sending him a hate message, it's like Slava on these nuts, you cunt, for example. Just don't do that, right? Don't do that. He doesn't deserve it. He doesn't deserve for the wrecked.